Um, so this is our turn project. It's me, Dylan, and Sonia. If you want to go on to the next slide. Uh, as you guys might remember, we're doing our term project on a company called Network Digital. They're out of Fairfield, New Jersey, and Network Digital really their business is focused on printers, copiers, office equipment. So they're a small company, a family-run company out of New Jersey, as I said, and they really do a lot of business through New Jersey and New York. Um, so I communicated with the owner's son, Matthew Salzano, who's a sales manager there and really works and directs the sales team. And then we had plans to go in through November. Circumstances kind of changed with COVID and everything, like just stuff in life happening. So we really didn't get the opportunity to go there and meet with him. But I had conducted multiple phone calls with Matt, and we got a pretty good exchange of data going on just through phone calls. And he was nice enough to work with me to where he would collect some of the data himself. So that was great of him. So if you want to move on to the next slide, Sonia. So just to like list some of the job functions that are there and the people working them. So Vicky is the receptionist. Vince is the controller who does a lot of the back end work of the company. He does the accounting, the billing, the invoices and stuff. Pete Salzano is the president. He kind of takes up a job as a kind of doing a little bit of everything. He says sometimes when you run a small business, so he does whatever he can for the company. And then Matt's the sales rep. Uh, Jay is the lease manager. Tony is the serviceman, and then they have three technicians: Fernando, Nestor, and Joe. And then this is just from one of me and Matt's conversations. He says at Network Digital, we've been selling and leasing copiers, office machines for the past 25 years. He was telling me how it was a family-run business, and they're just really looking to decrease production or increase. They've just seen a decrease in production since the COVID outbreak, and they're just trying to do whatever they can to prevent layoffs. So, if you want to move on, Sonia.
So the problem statement, it's Network Digital sales employees spend about 1.5 hours a day completing back-end functions in order to get proposals approved and processed. This is precious time during the day that employees could ideally use to generate new leads and building new clientele. By the end of the work week, about 7.5 or 19% of sales employees' time in the office is being underutilized. Due to the COVID-19 outbreak, the small business's revenue is noticeably lower than $6 million in revenue that it usually does. As a result, Network Digital is looking for a way to have its employees reduce time spent on these back-end functions and focus on closing more deals. Over the month of November, our team will be assessing how the proposal process time can be cut down and business model made more efficient.
So here are our SMART goals. So for specific, the goal is to reduce the time that employees wait for proposal approvals, and process time to 10% rather than 19% than where it's at right now. So for measurable, we're going to measure the process of our plan week to week and monitor its progress. For attainable, currently we're shooting for a steady decline of proposal approval time, about 1 to 2% per week. In order to account for the additional training or implementation of the new process. So for relevant, we plan on training the current employees on how to efficiently use their time while approving proposals or hiring additional employees to fully manage the process. So lastly, for time bound, with a steady decline of about 1 to 2% a week, we plan to have the proposal approval time from 19% to 10%. And no more than 9 weeks. So if you want to move on.
So this is our customer definition. So basically, the voice of the customer. Customers are usually small to large businesses throughout the New York metropolitan area in need of office machines, and they usually do printers, copiers, scanners, just kind of any office equipment you need, like any tech stuff. Some of the dissatisfiers for customers is when the information exchange between the sales team takes a little too long, and when they can't give accurate proposals and can't get exactly what the customer needs. So long wait times is always a problem, and then just taking a long time also to actually receive when the deal is struck and when they're actually waiting for their product. So then satisfiers would be often communication, callbacks within an hour, proposal received in a timely manner, and then the installation of their office equipment within that week. And then delighters would be for them to be available 9 to 5 for any questions that need to be asked or answered, just being available all the time with great customer service. Same day proposals, deal made, and then next day delivery and installation. So this is a little diagram that we drew up. So the customer needs is they need new office equipment, and then what would be critical to customer would be the customer service, print delivery, and price. So then for customer service, it would be the maintenance on the printer, which they continue to do throughout the lifetime of the deal or the lease, free installation and delivery, and then being able to quickly respond to any problems that might be wrong with the printers or copiers, or replacing anything. Print delivery, they want it to be on time, no damage. You don't want to get to the site or the customer and then have damaged goods from the ride over. So that's one of the things that they try to decrease as well. And then price, customers always want accurate proposals and want to make sure that they're getting a good price compared to the competitors around the area.
So our project plan, so our goal is ultimately to reduce the processing time of back-end business functions such as the validating leasing agreements and then streamlining proposal approvals. So we plan on trying to find the process or structure that would create the best opportunity to make more sales. We aim to do this by reducing the time it takes for upper management to review the proposal and then get it back to the sales reps. So that way they can get put in the purchase order in a timely manner. So if this lead time from approval submission to upper management, then relay to client is reduced. So it's going to increase the competitiveness of the firm and then make them stronger contenders to win more contracts in the future, and then increasing their total revenue.
So this is our process map. So it starts with the customers who they start and call Network Digital to place the order, and this is moved to email order to sales reps. Then we move down to sales, and sales receives information, and then they go on to create the proposal. They send proposals to upper management for approval, and upper management receives customer order. They approve it. If it's not approved, they send it back and create a new proposal. If it is approved, they send it back and then send to the customer. They receive approved proposal sales, and then the process is they process the order, and then they send the order to the warehouse, and then it goes down to warehouse. They put together the order, they send it to the customer, and they install printer and copier, and then that's the end. The bottlenecks in this process mapping is can be defined as the handoff from sales rep to upper management for proposal. The solution to this problem is to streamline the process in which the sales proposal is approved and decrease the lead time it takes to get proposal and estimate back to the customer. The process jumps from the customer to sales multiple times, which also increases the lead time. So this is the value stream map. So what we put together is that green adds value, red does not add value, and blue doesn't add or take away any value. So the first thing, call network digital to place order, doesn't really add value or doesn't take away value. Same with email to sales rep. But for the first one, it takes about 37 minutes to do so. And then for email, it takes 10 minutes to do so. And then when you go down to sales, receives information that's really not adding any value. Creating the proposal adds value, which takes 24.75 minutes. Then you move to send proposal to upper management for approval. This takes about 3.5 minutes, and this doesn't really add value. You move down to upper management. They receive the order, which isn't adding value. And for approval isn't adding value either. That takes about 18 minutes. Then sending it back up and received approved proposal doesn't add value either. Process order doesn't add or take away any value. Send to warehouse, that adds value, and then going down to the warehouse, putting it together adds value. That's about 69 minutes. And then to send to the customer, 50 minutes, it adds value, and 63 minutes to install printer and copier.
So these are some of our charts, just the average amount of duration in hours that each one is being worked on. You can see that there's kind of an outlier. So that's through the billing and invoice. So the billing and invoice is done by the controller. So as long as the invoice is given to the customer within like 48 hours of delivery, it's not really a big deal that the process, the time to completion is taking that long. So like the controller usually has a lot of work to do. So he usually will handle some accounting stuff. So if he starts the invoice and then maybe goes on to something else before finishing it, as long as he gets done within the 48 hours, then it's not a problem. But that's why you can see that there's like an outlier on the graph. So then I made two different graphs for my X bar chart and my R bar chart. So I took out the billing and invoice for the one just to make it a little bit more clear. So so you could see that usually the longest time is to assemble an order or delivery, but that's just because the delivery, like you don't know where you're driving to, or you don't know where you're going to end up going. So especially for a company that goes all throughout New York and New Jersey, delivery times can vary. So what we're really looking at to really decrease is the analyzed proposal, and that takes about a little bit more than it's a little bit under half an hour. But the problem with that is without getting approval for the order, the sales manager, which is Matt, can't really go on and do more business, try to get more calls or anything until he knows that he's got that order secure. So we're really just looking for the approval process to be quicker. And then this is the duration an hour, the range to the right with the R bar. And as again, you could see like the invoice kind of skews the data a little, but so I ended up making also another one, taking that out and just kind of seeing how long each what was the range in hours between the both of them. And analyzed proposal is also that is also about it's a little bit less than a half hour, but that's just because the person that analyzes the proposals is actually Matt's father, who is the president of the business. And as I said earlier, when you're the president of a small business, usually you have to attend to a little bit of everything and be very spread out. So he's not always in office at the time to approve orders and stuff or get approval. So then there's a wait time. So like Matt will have to call him, explain him the situation sometimes, and they'll have to go through that, and that's how he'll have to get approval. But if you can't get in touch, then it takes a little bit longer. So it's a process that we're trying to streamline and make more effective, or even get rid of if he can trust Matt to handle it himself. So if you want to go on, Sonia. So this is the data that just kind of giving you an idea of what our data looked like and how we ended up putting it into Disco. And as I said earlier, Matt was nice enough to work with us and kind of help us gather data. So if you want to go on, Sonia.
So here were some of our measurements that we calculated. So this was based off of a week worth of data collection. So for the talk time, we got 4.4 hours. And then the touch time was 4.16 hours. For the touch time, for the delays, there's about 30 minutes worth of delays on average per day. So then that just accounted for the 2.5 hours over the week.
So for our Disco map, it's focusing on the processes within the business. So you could see, we'll get into it a little bit more after the slide, but you could see that we actually have 3 different variants of the process through the data that we collected. And you could see also that when negotiating with customers trying to strike a deal, that not every single one actually converts. So through that, through the bottom half of the process after create proposal, which is right after, only 4 proposals end up being created because the success rate is not always, it's not always 100% in sales. So we're gonna get into that though. If you want to move on to the next slide, son. So as I mentioned, there's 3 different variants. So the first variant, which has 5 cases, is the shortest duration, which is basically Matt. He's made appointments, he's got calls, and he's trying to reach a deal or make a sale. So usually when negotiating sales and the customer is not really interested anymore and they don't want to do business with Network Digital, the phone call usually doesn't last very long, and it's just going to be a quick like, hey, like, not interested anymore, or just like explain why they're not interested. So variant 1 is just those deals that never actually get to the proposal phase, and Matt gets to write up something. So the second variant would actually be the second and third variant would be deals actually like being pursued and that they actually did. So we had 3 of those, and then one of, for the fourth, the third variant is actually when one of the calls came in, they had an inquiry through phone call to Network Digital rather than Matt scheduling appointments. So Vicky, the receptionist, actually had a role in this this part of the business process, and she was added to that. So that changed the variant from variant 2 to variant 3. But you could see that the conversion rate on sales is only about 44.14%. So ideally, you kind of want to convert on as much as you can and kind of be able to call as much as you can. But if you're not able to get approval on some of your proposals, then it kind of takes that time out of your day where you should be calling and really creating new appointments to increase this number from 44%. So that's one of the problems that we're just really trying to solve. And as I said, in variant 3, there's just one extra step, which is the reason why it's a different variant. And that's just because a customer called in and Vicky took the phone call. So she ended up having an interaction in that part of the process. So if you want to go on, Sonia. So this is the individual data for the employees, which I thought was kind of interesting and kind of sparks some different ideas, not only to also to like improve the business, not besides just getting quicker approval, but you could see that there's I was just trying to explain here that even though Vince's the duration and the range of his time to complete his job takes a little while, it's not really a huge problem until as long as his work's done in 48 hours. But you could see that Fernando, Joe, and Nesser are the technicians and actually might be underutilized, because you could probably figure out a way to have just 2 of them do the job, since it's being spread out between all 3 of them right now. So you could see like Fernando, his deliveries took like 46 minutes, Joe's an hour and 5, and Nesser's like 57. And Nesser took more trips than them 2. He actually worked in 2. He did 2 deliveries while the others did 1. So it might be a good idea to utilize your technicians a little more. So that's something we'll get into as well, if you want to go on. But these are just some of the outcomes and factors. So the case standard deviation is 4.62 hours. That's usually how long it takes for, that's usually the change in cases, the amount of time between the different variants. So this is based on I did this based on the 4 successful sales, because if you did it based on the quick phone calls that Matt had, it wouldn't be really an accurate representation of just what's going on. And then the average number of total hours start to finish is usually about 47 hours, as I said, probably because of the longer time for the invoicing. And then the average working time is 5.1 hours. So you can move on, Sonia.
So for our solutions, so our idea was to streamline the process to add value to both the customer and the business. So the case that we're making is that a lot of the processing time is eaten up in the creation and approval of the proposals. So then by streamlining this, by streamlining the customer order proposal, you reduce like submission and approval time, which is critical to aiding in the reduction of the total processing time. So in order to bring in more sales and make the process more effective, alternate solutions could be taken advantage of, like underutilized employees, for example. Like as you guys saw in the first couple slides, they have three technicians. So maybe some cross training could be done there. So if there's not many calls that they have to go out on and do repairs like that, they could maybe aid in some of the sales work, just to kind of diversify their job role, and then add value to the company, and then in turn add value to the customer. If you want to move on,
So since Network Digital is a smaller firm, family owned, their competitors are usually WB Mason, Office Depot, companies that are much larger than them. So they usually they should be practicing more efficient business models, and they should be taking every advantage of every resource they can, or every opportunity. So they usually just try to give better prices and have more quality relationships than those other competitors. If you want to move on, Sonia. So this was you, Jim, right?
Yeah. So for the cost benefit analysis, So with reduction in the processing time of the customer proposals, we're then able to reduce the cost to the customer because that minimizes the, I guess, employee pay that you have to do and like take up time in that. So by doing this, you're going to see the positive impact on the business processes by making yourself like a fierce competitor and then securing repeat customers in doing that. Because if you have a short proposal approval time, then the whole process is just streamlined and a lot quicker. So that'll bring some satisfaction to the customer. So some possible drawbacks of this solution. So it may require a total overhaul of current in-place processes for creation, approval, and submission of the customer order proposals. And then with this, like in changing a process, you're always going to face resistance to change by the employees since they're already used to doing like the process they already have in place. And then this also requires closer supervision in the early stages to ensure everything like runs smoothly. So then it also could cost you money and time to train the technicians to be capable salesmen, as I mentioned before. So you want to move on, Sonia? So yeah, for controlled, so ensuring recommendations are kept in place. We're planning on doing a performance scorecard for the employee evaluations. So this scorecard will be in place to help determine if they must adapt the technician to a sales role or let the technician go since they're not enough sales staff. And this is just a way of just measuring, of course, the implementation of the new processes. So they'll be able to determine the best practices and then what would the best move for the company be, whether it be the two options, whether it be retraining a technician or cross-training a new technician, or just letting a technician go altogether to reduce salary expenditures.
So this is just our fishbone diagram. We actually kind of mentioned it in our last presentation, but I might not go into this because I know we're kind of stuck on time and we need to kind of hurry up a little bit. So if you want to just move on, Sonia.
So this is our to-be map. As you can see, we took out upper management. This would be the most ideal thing to cut down time. So you start with the customer, they place the order, and that's emailed to sales. Then it's brought down to sales, they create the proposal. The order is processed and sent to the warehouse. And then the warehouse puts together the order, sends to customer, and then installs printer and copier. So this would be the most ideal map for the company.
So yeah, since last time we didn't have an actual picture of a project charter, I just kind of wanted to take a picture and say that we actually got approval on it. So that's just this slide. So thank you for listening, everybody. If you guys have any questions. No? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, my last comment for you. I thought your project was well done. My last project comment is your to-be chart. Can you go back to your to-be chart? Okay, so is that true that you don't have any wait time or decision point on your to-be chart? Is it intentional?
Yeah, for getting rid of upper management, no wait time.
So no wait time, no decision point, no electronic transaction.
Oh yeah. My computer, when I tried using the Access Rowan thing, and my computer wasn't updated, so I had to work with what I had for making the map. But there are electrical processes and wait time arrows. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, for example, so I would encourage you, maybe you can put, as is map or as is process map and to be chart side by side, and then compare in what sense this is an improvement and how it is possible. I think that will make your presentation really good. So That's my last comment, besides the one that I already gave you on the check room. Thank
Okay.
you for your presentation.